Next, we have approval of minutes, Resolution 236-090324. I need a motion and a second.
What is that?
I make a motion,
What are we doing?
approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
Second.
Angela, I think you need to abstain. Because, yeah. That's right. Abstain. I'll second. Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski.
Yes.
Councilwoman David.
Abstain.
Councilman Wilson.
Yes.
Council President Cobb.
Yes. Next, we have bills and claims. Resolution 237-090324 in the amount of $2,343,324.50. Yes, Mr. Howard.
Council President, just as a point of information, this is a confirming resolution. The council by consensus had authorized that the bills be paid for the August 6th meeting. So this is the confirming resolution.
Right. So with that, I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And since we've already paid these bills, roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski.
Yes.
Councilwoman David.
Yes.
Councilman Wilson.
Yes.
Council President Cobb.
Yes. Next, we have Resolution 255-090324, approval of bills and claims for this meeting in the amount of $1,905,177.82. We need a motion and a second.
Motion.
I second.
Any questions on this one?
I do, Council President, but in the interest of time, I'll have my questions answered offline.
Okay, sounds good. If there's no questions, we roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski.
I abstain.
Councilwoman David.
Yes.
Councilman Wilson.
Yes.
Council President Cobb.
Yes. Next, we have ordinance for second reading, ordinance 2408, an ordinance authorizing an extension in the lease between the City of Englewood and Flat Rock Brook Nature Association.
Council President, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Bailey.
As you may recall, the council introduced this ordinance, I believe it was back in July. Subsequent to the introduction, we received comments from the state to the proposed lease. The most major one was we had discussed a 40-year lease just to make it more accommodating. They wanted a 25. That's the primary revision, so I would ask for a motion to table this one, and you'll see next on deck is the introduction of, and we just, the title, it's reflected correctly in the new ordinance, but it should be an ordinance authorizing entry into a lease, because it's a new lease with Flat Rock, and it incorporates most of the changes requested by the state. So that would be the one that would be put into play, but it has to be introduced and then a public hearing in 2 weeks.
It has to say, it reads the same.
On the agenda, it reads lease extension, but if you look at the ordinance itself, it's entry into a lease.
Okay, so
Yeah.
with this ordinance 2408, we need a motion to table.
Yes, sir.
So we need
I'll make a motion to table it.
a second.
Second.
And as we're tabling that, Council President, as we spoke earlier, I would like to see who would be in charge to make sure during this lease that we have the proper storm water management.
Okay. So
So-
roll call on this. Roll call to table.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
I vote to table.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Councilwoman David,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes, with those stipulations I stated.
Council President Cobb.
Yes. Next, we have an ordinance for introduction for first reading. Ordinance 2409, an ordinance authorizing an extension in the lease between the city of Englewood and Flat Rock Brook Nature Association. And that's just following what Mr. Belly just said. Mr. Belly, you want to add something?
Yeah, again, the ordinance itself is entitled an ordinance authorizing entry into a lease between the city of Englewood and Flat Rock. It's not a lease extension, it's actually a new lease. Yes, sir.
Wait, I got it. Yeah. So we need
And this is for introduction.
We need a motion for first reading and introduction.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion for first,
I'll second.
oh, okay.
Sorry.
Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Councilwoman David,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Council President Cobb.
Yes.
And Mr. Cobb, for the record, the second reading and public hearing on this ordinance will take place on September 17th,
Which is our next council
our
meeting.
next council.
Okay. So now we come to the public comments on agenda items. From, okay, 238, 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244, 245, 246, 247, 248, 249, 250, 251, 256, 257, 258, 259, 260, 262, 263, 264, 265, 266, 267, 268, 269, 270, 271, 272, 273, 274, 275, 276. So, comments only on those agenda items that I just read?
Yeah, Rick Welby, Englewood, New
Hold on.
Jersey.
Rick, hold on a second. Yeah, 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes.
Yeah, Rick Welby, Englewood, New Jersey. 247, 249, and 274. These are things, that address the loss of very prominent people and a lot of people on September 11th over in New York. But today marks the second anniversary of the murder of Bernard Placide, and it behooves this council to put Bernard on the agenda, especially on the anniversary of his death. This is something that this city has missed an opportunity as a good learning experience. A couple of months ago, I was at a protest in Teaneck, and I asked the chief up there if his officers knew who Philip Pinnell was. And a lot of those rookie officers didn't know who Philip Pinnell was 37 years later. So we all know that history forgotten has a tendency to repeat itself. Why on the second anniversary of the assassination, the murder of Bernard Placide Jr., today as we was at the cemetery standing over that young man that should have been here with his mother and his family but is not here because of racism. That's all it is, simple racism. Okay, he didn't have the complexion connection. And this council has failed the Placide family once again by missing an opportunity on the anniversary of his death to acknowledge his passing. Now, I don't know about the legalese and, your attorneys here, Bill Bailey. I don't want to cost the city any more money. But I believe that this is something that we should do. We want to honor people on September 11th, Hispanic Heritage Month, Pascrell, Englewood family reunion, you know, all these other things, and we should have, especially a tragedy that happened right here in Englewood, and his mother requested that that street that he was killed on be renamed for her son. That was made very clear at the cemetery today, and we're going to continue to fight no matter what anybody says. They have to study this, or we can't give you black folks that and all this other stuff that they like to say. We're going to make sure that Bernard's name, as Reverend Daughtry said, is uttered through the village. The village is going to continue to say his name so he is not forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public, since I don't see anybody, I'm going to close the public portion of this meeting, and we're going to vote.
Council President,
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
I'd like to table Resolution 273.
I'll second that.
A council appointment, which we didn't discuss.
Okay, we can pull that one.
Just need a vote. The vote that's on the motion to table, that's all.
Okay, roll call. Roll call.
So this is a roll call, sorry, to table resolution number 273.
And we're tabling because of what?
We haven't discussed it as a council and appointment, and we always discuss our appointments.
Councilman
Let's go.
Rosenzweig, sorry. Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes to table.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes, the table.
Councilwoman David?
Yes, the table.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes, the table.
Council President Cobb?
Yes.
I'd like to pull some of the other resolutions for a separate vote. I'd like to pull Resolution 263, 264, and 265 for a separate vote.
263, 264, and 265?
Correct.
Motion to,
Does anyone else have?
anybody else have any other things that they want to pull?
Council President, if I will.
Yes.
I don't necessarily need to have them pulled, but I would like it explained into record, 248. 249. And 266.
We should explain those before they're voted. We should explain those before they're voted on.
Right. Mr. Wilson, what do you want to do with those? You want to talk about them?
Yes, I think they're important enough to have a quick discussion
Okay.
as opposed to an overall vote.
We could talk about those right now.
Which one, 266?
Okay. 248, 249, and
266.
266.
266?
266.
And I'm sorry, I missed one, 262.
Is it 262 too as well? Or
Yes,
266?
262 and 266 is directly correlated with what we're talking about in stormwater management.
Okay.
And 267.
All right. You got the floor, Mr. Wilson. Go ahead.
Resolution number 248-09-03-24, resolution honoring the Englewood Family Reunion Committee. I just want it to be noted that this is something that has been etched in Englewood history, especially for my ward being the fourth ward of people that have lived and graduated from Englewood school system that has contributed throughout the world that come back for opportunity to fellowship and sistership, if you will, with the community. And through this effort, we've also found out that there are major players throughout the world that come back to assist the development of our neighborhoods. And I think that it's very noted that you guys put it on the agenda, Mr. Cobb, and I just wanted that to be, to have a highlight, if you will. And as far as,
So let me just add to that, Mr. Wilson.
yes, sir.
So, you know, this is started in the early 80s. Yeah, my mother and your mother were part of the original founders of this.
That is correct.
So, and it's bringing the city together, or bringing the Fourth Ward together. And it had over 1,000 people at this event on July 20th of this year. So, those people who organized it should be recognized. So, go ahead, and the next one is 249, right?
That is correct.
Judge Dow.
This is someone else that has an indelible mark on our community and our society as a whole. Someone that selfishly gave back his life, his education, his thought process to better mankind. And there's not often that you get many people at that stage that continues to give back even when they're a judge. Some people think that they're above giving back when they reach certain pinnacles, and this was not his journey. His journey was to give back and educate, so I just wanted to highlight that as well.
262.
262, I would like to give that to
I guess I can speak on it.
Mr. Hoffman or the city engineer, so that I'm clear and the public's clear on the work that's going to be created by 262-09-0324. Award contract to National Water Main for Palisade Court Covert Cleanout.
I guess I can talk on it. This is part and parcel of our, sort of our drainage improvement and stormwater management throughout town. Many of our channels, brooks and creeks, go through culverts. Palisade Court happens to be the longest culvert we have in town. Many of you are familiar, it runs under ShopRite's parking lot. What happens during storm events is the debris that's carried by the water, whether it be bicycles, shopping carts, boulders, to be quite frankly, gets sort of embedded and, settles there in the culvert. And what that does is it minimizes the culvert's capacity. So periodically we have to go in there and sort of clean out that culvert so it can maintain its capacity. And that's sort of what we're doing here. There's a lot of debris in the culvert that needs to be cleaned out in order for it to function properly, and that's the intention of this.
That's a joint project with us and Al Crow's group?
That's correct.
Yes, Council President. And the city is supposed to clean out do this work every 4 years, so this is the 4th year. So it's the cycle for doing the work, and we attempted to solicit quotes for this, so we contacted several different companies, and actually there's a typo on this. The best overall value is not National Water Main, it's Arco or Arcas. So it's in the packet right here. That's on the table. So it's Arcus Pro Services is the best overall value. And
Right.
We do that every 4 years.
And the reason why I thought not just to pull it, but to discuss it, because there's a lot of teeth in the sprocket of moving water storm management. And I understand a frustrated, flooded out residential personnel here. I get it. and they want to see something happen right now. And so this is one of the small sprockets in the big wheel of things that we are doing on a consistent basis to try to mitigate this stormwater. And if we could speak to, I think it's 268, that will be the other one I wanted to discuss, either you or Mr. Hoffman.
266, I believe you said.
I'm sorry?
266.
I stand corrected, 266. That is correct.
Again, part of what you mentioned, part of our stormwater management.
I'm sorry, can you speak up when you talk about storm water management?
Yes. That is part and parcel of what we're doing here. We've obtained the services of Mont McDonald's to help us study the drainage and the flooding issues along Dana Place and Broad Avenue. As many of you know, there's a channel that runs along many of those properties there that is caused some flooding issues for many of the residents. So part of this study is not only to sort of figure out the watershed that contributes to that channel, but how we can, sort of alleviate some of that flooding issues, what we can do alongside the channel, et cetera, to help those residents sort of deal with the flooding issues that's taking place there currently.
Yes, and my prayer is, usually when we study, there's a test coming up. So hopefully as we're studying, the test will be swift, that we make improvements after the study.
Yeah, this study is, this is not only a study, but it's also a remedy part of it also. So after the study, they're going to give us some concrete answers as to, hey, this is where we think we should go in order to get this resolved or repaired or to mediate the situation. So we expect to get some guidance afterwards.
What's the timeline on the study?
We're going to give it to them as soon as this gets approved, and we will push for them to give us, they said they're ready to go as soon as they get the go. So we're pushing for them. They know the urgency, and we've walked the site with them, so they know what's going on here.
Mr. Volsi, which streets are involved?
This is Dana Place and Broad Avenue.
From where, Broad
From
Avenue?
Palisade Avenue all the way to Route 4, I believe. So
All
it's
the way
gonna-
to 4?
Yeah, so it goes all the way, it crosses Van Nostrand and ends up there by Cross Street.
Yeah, it's in the resolution.
Okay.
Thank you, Council President. That completes my concerns.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Wasowski, you want to table, what do you want to do on yours? Just three?
So I asked for a separate vote on three
Okay.
different resolutions.
Okay. That'll be 263, 264, and 265, if I marked it right?
That is correct.
Okay, so we're gonna vote right now on 238, 239, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244, 245, 246, 247, 248, 249, 250, 251, 256, 257, 258, 259, 260, 261, 262, 266, 267, 268, 269, 270, 271, 272, 273. No, that we tabled that. 272, 273 was tabled, 274, 275, and 276.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Councilwoman David?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Council President Cobb?
Yes.
Now the three resolutions.
Now, resolution 263.
What-
The motion is second.
So we can take all three together. I'll make, after we motion second, we can discuss it. So I'll make a motion. No, we can't do that?
We can give an explanation or a clarification.
It's not a motion to table, it's a motion for a separate vote, so.
So a separate
So
vote.
you can have a motion, second, and discussion.
Right. So I'd like to have a discussion, so I'll make a motion for 263, 4, and 5.
I'll second.
Now you can have
So
discussion.
this is my concern. My concern is I've been very, I have a lot of concerns about Boswell Engineering. We've had some difficulty. They were given a project, right, Mr. Hoffman, about a year and a half ago. What's wrong?
Yeah, what's your question?
Right, and we still haven't seen this report on Gloucester, and I know that other professionals have been concerned about that project, and so for me to feel comfortable with this, I need to know that there's going to be accountability here, that there's going to be follow-up by the city to make sure that these projects are done in an efficient and in a way that satisfies the city.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. The first resolution, 263, this is for tax map updates. This is something that's required, and this is being coordinated with our tax assessor, but this is something that we need to do for upcoming revals. It's also done every few years, but the Boswell Engineering has done work on this previously, and it's also part of it is used for our stormwater management issues. So, but the key thing here is we need to get this done before the end of the year, so that we can have it for our tax assessor. Then the next one is for the final pistol range report, and then the DPW report. So the city sold the property that the former police pistol range was on. There had been filings that were done by Boswell Engineering in 2014 and 2017. The Boswell Engineering has the LERP license for the city, and this is the final report that's needed to go down to DEP. There was monitoring that was done on this site. Franz, have I left anything out about that?
No, that's essentially, this is going to have to get completed right away because DEP does have a deadline for Boswell to submit those reports. So that's going to take place right away.
Right, and I believe it's October that the final reports have to be into the
Yes.
DEP?
I just wanted to make sure that we're comfortable and that there's going to be accountability here.
Yeah, they as our city manager mentioned, in 2014 and 2017 were reports submitted to DEP by Boswell. Anytime you do remediation projects, there's a long-term evaluation you have to do to make sure that it's successful, that there aren't any issues. And this is sort of like closing out this project with the DEP.
Council President, if I may. This project that we're getting ready to close out, that has to deal with soil, which is obviously needed, and, I, for one, await the report. My concern is the adjacent properties to the gun range, and, we have our citizens, our city workers on these particular plots, and I would love to see the results from the soil from Boswell.
Yeah, part of this is part of the monitoring wells that have to be put in the ground, and they have to be monitored to make sure that the levels obviously don't increase and there aren't any issues, and that's what this is. So we'll get a report.
I'm aware, but I'm also concerned about the creosote that comes off the railroad tracks that seeks into our land and into our buildings, our city-owned building, not just this property that's sold off. That's a continuous concern of mine. So I, for one, think this report is very important, and I can't wait to get it.
Okay.
If I understand this correctly, Subaru or Town Motors is already built on that site, number one.
Yeah.
They already built, they got a building down there, right down the street.
Yeah.
So it's right on top of that already, number one. Number two, how do we sell something we don't own? The pistol range was leased to the city of Englewood, I understood.
That's above my,
That's right out the horse's mouth, the dude that owns the, But anyway, my point is, there's a building sitting on top of it where that is right now.
Yeah. But there was monitoring wells that the city was responsible for. So I'm not sure who owned it, but Boswell Engineering was the one that was doing the testing on both locations, the monitoring
So
wells on both locations.
it must have passed, right?
Yeah,
Because we built on top, they built the building on it, so you had to approve, somebody had to approve the building to be built.
my understanding is Subaru has been in touch with Boswell regarding the monitoring wells, so I'm sure.
No, that's what I'm saying, somebody had to
I'm sure
approve
this
something
report is
in
just
order
gonna
for them
come
to put
out
that structure
clean.
up there.
Yeah, I'm sure this report is just to finalize
The
everything.
name of the entity escapes me right now that actually owned it. I think Jack Van Horn was the attorney, though, so I recall dealing with him years ago about this,
Sable.
because we had a long-term lease.
Right, Sable,
And
they
there's lead
own
and
it.
bullets, so
Right, okay.
it got
But,
contaminated.
well, the building's up, so, okay. Y'all want to do roll call? Roll call? I believe that, Lisa, you done? You finished?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Roll call. I believe we got a second. We got a motion and a
We had
second.
a motion and second, yes.
So we could do a roll call on that.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson? I'm sorry, Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Councilwoman David?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Council President Cobb?
Yes. Next, we have resolutions for discussion. Award, reject, contract for trash rack installation at Overpeck Creek Project. Bid opening on September 12th, 2024. Who's gonna speak to that?
Yeah, I guess I'll take it. This is essentially, as part of our stormwater, management efforts. We are looking to install trash racks at several locations at Overpeck Creek. And the primary location is at Depot Square before it goes into underneath ShopRite. The reason why we're installing it is because of what was just, stated before. The amount of debris that goes into that culvert, that impacts that culvert, is unbelievable at times. I mean, you all know about the story of pulling out cars from that culvert. So we are trying to eliminate the amount of debris that goes underneath there. We're going to be working in conjunction with the DPW if this comes to pass, because after every storm, they're going to have to go at Depot Park and clean out that area because the debris is going to accumulate right there before it goes underneath the ShopRite parking lot. So in the future, we will have a lot less cleaning of that culvert. Let's put it that way. It won't be happening every 4 years.
So let me ask you a question. It says opening bid on September 12th. And this is just on a resolution for discussion.
Just so you know, it's coming for the next.
Okay, for the next meeting, right? 17, okay. All right. Next ordinance.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Do you have, what does that look like?
It's essentially a metal gate. It's a metal gate that is form-fitted to the culvert, to the entrance of the culvert there. And then it just stops the boulders, the trash.
So it's like a
etc.
filter?
It's more or less a filter, but obviously with much bigger gaps. You don't want to capture everything. You just want to keep the major stuff out of that culvert.
Let me ask you something. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, what's the cost of putting one in?
We're about to find out.
Okay, and is this the only, I guess this is the initial, are we considering this for other creeks?
Yeah, we are looking at other locations where this could be a possibility to help out. If, I don't want to say the locations that I'm looking at right now, but I can tell you right now, Whitewood Road, for example, on Elkwood, that entrance there, we're thinking of putting one there because the easement on Whitewood Road gets impacted so much with so much debris that it is actually, it would help the city if we can stop it before opening. When we did the Whitewood Road easement, I mean, we pulled out trees, full trees that got stuck in the culvert. So we have to stop that from happening. It's destroying the culverts and obviously impacting their capacity. So the goal is to stop all those debris from getting in the culvert, cleaning them out, in an area where we can. It's easy enough for the DPW to come in and with a grabber and just grab the stuff out of there.
I had a question. In that same location, that Palisade Court culvert, the fence, how many times have we repaired that fence in the last? Can we find a solution for that? Because that fence, every time it rains,
It gets
we're
beat
fixing
up. Again, the amount of debris that the water carries just tears the fence apart.
Is the fence anchored?
The fence is
into
anchored in. I
into
think
that,
it's the
concrete
mesh a lot of
into that?
times. It should be, there's at least 1.5 feet, 2 feet of concrete in the base of that fence there. It's just the mesh part that just gets beat up.
Right.
The amount of boulders that hit it while the water is rushing, it just can't stand up to it.
Okay. Next. Yes, Council.
I just wanted to add on, if I may. I think that there's been a slight oversight, and I mentioned it earlier in regards to, we know where the problem areas are. I don't think anyone sitting up here at the dais or you, Mr. Engineer, can say that you don't know where the flooding or the problematic places are. So I, for one, think that this trash rack installation is overdue, and that only comes from tracking. And if in fact we weren't tracking, you wouldn't know where to put these things. So kudos to you guys for being able to identify some of the important areas where we need this. So thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. Let's move ordinances for discussion. Amendment for construction fees. That's you? Oh, that's Mr. Howard.
The Council President, thank you, Council President. This is just a heads up to the council. This was something that was discussed during the 2024 budget review process, and then this is something that has been working its way through and will probably come to a workshop session in perhaps October or November. But just this was a heads up where we're doing an evaluation. There's information in the packet from the construction official, but just there was a lot of information, so this was just to let you know that this was coming through, and the same with the Fire Prevention Bureau fees.
Who sets the fees?
Well, the council sets the fees. It's recommended by the departments. The goal is to cover the costs to the state as well as the cost for the service.
Okay, so fire prevention is going to come with a list of fees, updated fees?
Yes.
That we'll action on? And-
Right. It's coming in the next. In the next.
And what are
month or
these
two.
fees pertaining to?
It covers the cost of inspections for commercial establishments, for the common areas of apartment houses, for things of that nature, for looking at the alarm systems, that are in garages and just offices and also apartments.
And we'll post these fees on the website?
Yes.
Once we
Yes.
take
Yes.
it? Okay. Councilman Wilson?
Yes, thank you. Although things are increasing nowadays, and we're probably running out of time for increasing fees, but what I've been inundated with as well is that the timeliness of the inspections for these particular fees. Fees are increasing, so the owners would want the service to increase as well. And I know we're having a shortage of inspectors in the building department, and we just upgraded in the fire department, but I think we need to look at the scheduling as well. It's hard to ask people to pay more and not get the proper service. So I would just be mindful that we accelerate the program or either possibly hire where the gaps may be in the building department.
Yeah, and that's part of the evaluation process, but thank you for, thank you for making sure that everybody understands that.
Okay, and I think the last one is amendment to Recreation Department fees.
And again, Council President,
Yeah.
this is the same thing, is to look at the fees, make sure they're covering the cost, and that the programs are cost neutral, and that where it's appropriate, there's fees that will offset some of the costs of the programs.
Okay, next, we got the engineer's report. I think we got the report tonight, right?
There's 96 or 97.
Yeah, I think.
I can't
You-
Oh, sorry about that. The 2024 road project is going to start next week. So
And what is
we're going to
that?
have a lot more detours in town.
So those road projects, will the storm drains be a part of that road
We're
project?
going to start milling and paving roadways next week. PSCNG has also stated that
You
they're
didn't
also going to
answer my
start.
question.
I'm sorry.
I said, are the storm drains gonna be part of the project?
Oh, yeah, part of what we do when we mill and pave, it will be analyze the storm drain. Now, if the storm drain's in good condition, we'll leave it alone. If it needs to be repaired, yes, we'll repair it.
Let me ask you a question. When I see the storm drains that they're only 2 feet deep, obviously, that's not adequate anymore, right? And I'm not an engineer, but I would say, based on the flow and the rain rate, it's not adequate. Would we just, while we're in there doing milling and paving, why don't we snatch that out and put a deeper storm drain in?
Yeah, part of what we have to look at are elevation issues.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll definitely, there's something that we'll take a look at. When we have the opportunity to increase the size of the lines, that sort of thing, we absolutely do that.
So, when you are, who's it, New Prince? Is that who it is? Or whoever you have doing?
Jay Alexander is doing the milling and paving
So
program
whoever
this year.
they are, they're under, as part of the contract, to look and assess the storm drains.
We
that have.
actually go out there with them, and we
Okay.
take a look at the storm drains. And sometimes we'll ask the help of the DPW to flush out some of these lines if we can't, if we're not clear about them, just to make sure they're in good working condition.
Okay, we want to just make sure they take that opportunity.
Yeah.
I see that it's going to be milled and paved tomorrow. I have it here. It said Knickerbocker Road will be milled and paved September 4th, 6th, 9th, 10th, and 11th between the Monument and Demarest Board, and no vehicles allowed. What hours are that? I have it right here. Texas came in from OEM.
You got a text on your phone?
For tomorrow.
That's news to me.
Tomorrow they're going to be paved. And the buses go down there, children walk to school, so I would like to know if the schools were notified
And you
for bus
just got the
reroute.
text?
I just got it.
I didn't get one.
I got it from OEM. So I would like to know if the schools were notified. It's tomorrow, babes.
Well, no, that's why they were doing it next week.
Well, I have it here. Want to see it?
I believe you.
4th, 6th, 9th, and 10th.
And what's the street, Knickerbocker?
Knickerbocker, the main street with the bus, Knickerbocker, and it's going to be between the Monument and Demarest border. No,
Oh, so it's not coming up to the school, so it's stopped right
it
there.
stops right there, but still.
At Demarest, so yeah, that won't have an impact on the school though.
Well, it's tomorrow.
Mr.
tomorrow, that's the problem.
President, could you please send us a schedule, including the PSC&G schedule?
Yeah, PSCNG, they're gonna be sending me a schedule this week, they said. So I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm gonna follow up with them.
And then your
I can-
schedule as well,
I
please?
can absolutely send you the schedule. Now, with the roads that we're already starting to work on is Everett, Windsor, and Manor. Those roads are already getting worked on. We're putting new curbing, et cetera, and checking out the drainage system. We're adding a couple catch basins on some of those roads. So those have already started already, but next week, we're gonna be starting the mill and pave project. So I'll send the schedule.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, anything with any streets, please send that out so folks know, because they'll be getting calls and all that stuff. Any other updates you want to give us, Frank?
Council President, just as a point of
Yes.
information, could, Councilwoman David, could you just let us know the streets that you had?
Okay, okay, I just got this, hold on. It says here, I'll just get these alerts, hold on. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Here, pass me the phone.
That's Cresco,
Is that Cresco?
by their monument.
My dear monument. Is it their monument or our monument?
Might be
Might be
the
the
merit.
Merit.
Camp Merit.
Demer's Border, it says Demer's Border, so it's
Yeah,
going
this
all
is,
the
this
way
is
up.
from, this is not our, this is not from our OEM.
Okay, that's another one, okay.
Yeah, this is,
From Fresco OEM.
yeah.
They must be referring to the monument at the
So,
circle, like
circle,
Camp
oh,
Merit.
okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you,
Got me
yeah.
nervous.
No, well, thank you, I'm glad we were able to clarify, so yes, our,
That's good. Franz was nervous,
Franz,
yeah, so our,
Franz got a very
Franz is looking
nervous,
like-
Franz had a very nervous look here.
his heart
Like,
attack.
holy-
all right, yeah, so ours, just as the engineer had said, it's,
It's coming down then.
it's scheduled to start on Monday, the 9th, but he was just waiting for confirmation, for one more detail before sending it out, so,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. All right, so Franz, we're good on your engineer report, we can move on?
Yes.
Okay.
It's almost over.
Items for discussion, one, Tryon Pool.
Oh,
So
what are we gonna do with
I
that?
think we need to have a thorough discussion on that and know the parameters, Mr. Hoffman, of what it would take to take on a project, so we could get some facts about that, about what it needs to take on that particular project. We already know what they're doing and the work they're doing at the middle school won't impact the work that we would do, so let's just be more clear, and then we can talk to the public about that.
Okay,
Right now?
Number two, homelessness.
Oh,
We have a problem in Englewood, and what we need to do is, we need to probably, Mr. Hoffman, they have the shelter and those folks over there that work with homelessness, bring people in, but we need to bring people in who do mental health work to talk to the homeless people. You know, it's okay because it's warm right now, but what happens as it gets colder? We need to do that. There's people sleeping around on the bus stops and
benches.
the park, the benches, Depot Square Park. So we need to really focus on that, but bring the right people in to talk to them.
Yeah, the library, I see them also at the library too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Council President, there's been some discussions with the, with our Arrive Together partners about having additional mental health professionals be able to, to help provide the right options for some of our folks that are homeless.
Okay, some behaviorists or something.
Next, master plan status. Mr. Hoffman, I don't know if you have a status or whatever, but I'd like to get a status by the next time we meet.
Certainly can.
Because I think it's been very quiet, and, if anybody here sitting on the dais wants to make comments, changes, or whatever, or has questions about it, we should know where the status of that report is.
Yes, the master plan consultants were scheduled to present a draft report sometime within like 10 days after Labor Day or 10 days, so we'll reach out to them and find out where the draft is, where it
Right.
stands.
And the next is parking commercial vehicles on the street. I think we've had that conversation a ton of times. And I think somehow, some way, the ordinance had gotten changed to 4 tons, but I think that it should just be commercial vehicles, period. They're parking on residential streets and taking up spaces where residents would normally park, and it's an eyesore. They have to find somewhere to park their vehicles. Shouldn't be parked on the street like that. I just think it creates a problem.
Yeah.
And then they stay there all weekend, so we got to figure that out.
Yeah, if I may, Council President, it's, 4 tons would be appropriate, but also the ordinance states that you can park for 48 hours. So that's.
Yeah, well, we gotta
that's-
we gotta
That's,
take-
that's something that, when you look at the ordinance, that has to be
Right.
reviewed, yes.
I think we have to tweak the ordinance there. Next is the city entryway signage. We know we have a temporary sign that was put at the corner of Liberty Road and Hudson Avenue. So, but I think that we need to identify other locations as entry points into the city where we want to put a sign as well. And I think that the council members should all come together along with the city engineer and yourself and identify areas where we believe would be best use for signage coming into the city.
Okay, we can do that. We've also gotten some proposals for electronic signs at different potential locations that are entry points to the city. We're finishing up the review of that, and we're happy to share that with the council. And this is something that the potential locations had been reviewed with the member of the planning board that's responsible for approving signage. So that was done at the head end of the project. Yes, Ms. Emily Mann.
Last is the Schedule Street renaming for Shirley Lacy. She was the first black councilwoman in the city of Englewood, but this was an old ordinance old resolution that we had put together in 2022, and it's just like finally putting something in the ground for Ms. Lacy. You know, it just happens to be in that area where the Alfred Avenue project is, so this is probably a good time because the project is basically finished over there. They're putting in the landscaping on Alfred Avenue. So we just have to figure out a date. And we'll get back with a date on that between me and Councilman Wilson. Next, we have communications from the governing body. If anybody wants to speak, starting with Mayor Wiles.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you again, Mr. Hoffman, for your very thorough report on the substantial flooding over the past month on multiple occasions. I also want to thank the Englewood Fire Department, Police Department, Public Works, first responders, city workers for rescuing more than 100 people in danger. And again, we have to also regale the neighboring departments who responded to mutual aid calls to help residents of our city. The city is also working with Bergen County to evaluate our vulnerabilities, seeking additional protective measures. We are entering the hurricane season, so we need to be prepared. And I will continue with some of the things that I spoke of, particularly in my meeting with the Leonia mayor, and some of the results of the tours, videos, and photos that I received as well. The Labor Day weekend / week DPW schedule is posted. We had a wonderful back-to-school event early this morning for all the children that got a high five on the way into the Greco school. And we had a convocation last week with Superintendent Dr. Marnie Hazelton with all the faculty. As we enter the new school year, we remember dearly Dr. Daniela Small-Bailey, Dr. Ronell Cook, and Elizabeth Feliciana Rosa, who will stay even with us as the brighter days for our students in our city continue. I want to thank everybody who participated again in all of these events. Please take extra caution to drive safely. I met earlier today with the superintendent and many residents of Lantana. There are a lot of parents that are rushing to get to the school, and they're putting themselves and other residents in jeopardy. Watch for pedestrians with back to school in session. Best of luck, of course, to all of our beautiful students. Englewood Health funding, congratulations to our state senator, Gordon Johnson, for his work in securing $1 million allocation to the New Jersey state budget for Englewood Health, our hospital, to purchase new cutting-edge medical technology, diagnostic equipment. It comes with excellent services and improved outcomes for all of our residents. Thank you for this partnership and for our city. Thank you, Mr. Cobb, Council President, for bidding farewell to Congressman Pasquale, who represented us for 10 years. He passed at 87 years old after a lifetime of public service as a teacher, a veteran, a mayor, and a congressman. Congressman Pasquale presented our city in Congress, represented for a decade before redistricting moved us into Josh Gottheimer's district. He was a great friend and a tremendous advocate for our residents. He secured much needed funding for our public safety needs and had a real common sense of propriety. He could fight without being hateful or vengeful, the pastor said at his funeral. He was a fiery, feisty, fierce teacher, mayor, and he had courage. He brought Christian hope to the Middle East and did a beautiful job of bringing communities together. He led by example. He will be missed by so many of us, but always remembered fondly for his friendship, his modesty, and his service. All are invited, ladies and gentlemen, to join us September 11 at 11:30 a.m., at 8:30 a.m. on September 11 at the Veterans Memorial Park for our annual 9/11 memorial service 23 years later. 23 years later, the memory still remains, the impact in our city and our nation. Let's join and honor those, reflect on how important it is that our local, national, and international communities alike eschew violence and hatred and embrace peace and respect. I also want to thank and wish a very special resident of our city, my dear wife, a happy anniversary, as tonight is our 34th wedding anniversary. I took her out last night and with the proviso that I would take her again tomorrow night after I teach in law school. She understood that this was an important meeting for me to be present. And her presence, spelled E-N-T-S, was my presence, E-N-C-E, this evening here. Anyway, happy anniversary, sweetheart. For the rest of the details, and I will not belabor the point, feel free to join us every Friday at 11 a.m. for Coffee with the Mayor, where we can go over the good, the bad, and never the ugly in the city of Englewood. Thank you.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Hi, thank you. In the still hours late, we still have a lot of meeting left to do, so I just hope everyone enjoyed the remainder of their summer, and I wish them a happy and a healthy fall. Thank you and good night.
Councilwoman Wasowski?
Thank you. Good evening. Again, I hope everyone had a wonderful summer. I thank you, Mr. Volsey and Mr. Hoffman, for your report on the flooding. And for the sake of time, I'm going to say good night.
Yeah.
Councilwoman David?
Franz and Bob, it was a wonderful presentation. I appreciate it. I'm going to be really quick. Also, I would like to thank the Englewood Storm Response Team, Diane Jansen and Peter Jansen, for all their effort with the cleanup buckets and everything that they did pick up and give out to tenants, especially residents all over the Englewood. So thank you for your consistency. Also, is this something short? Lantana had complaints of mattresses. They said that somebody's house looked like Sanford and Son, and I went to Bob and I told him. The 29th, the Third Ward Block Party will be held on the 29th because the Actors Fund has his holy day the whole month of October, so we're going to have it on the campus of the school district, the Third Ward Block Party. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Council,
Thank you.
Councilman Wilson?
Thank you, Council President. First, giving honor to God. Without him, I wouldn't be here. For those of you who do not know, for the longest, there's been two pools in Englewood, and I think that we need to champion forward for what needs to be done to keep our Tryon pool and make it safe. For some people, you may be tuned in and listening about the naming of the street for Shirley Lacy, and umpteen years ago, Shirley Lacy was diligent enough to get me into the county committee. So, you know, my thoughts about getting the street done, I think it was way past due. She was a champion for our Fourth Ward and a champion for our city of Englewood. And for those of you who are thinking about your loved ones that you're contemplating about a street naming, we have not yet finished the requirements for that, but that's to be forthcoming. This is the second anniversary for Bernard Placide. My heart goes out to the family and friends. I am not happy with where we are. I think we still need a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, as a society, we still have people that have mental crisis. And I've had someone call me in my ward, and we have a program, and it took the gentleman 2 hours to get there. So we still need to do a lot of work. And if you, in fact, if you have a family member that may be suffering crisis, just be vigilant on the signs. You know, holidays are coming and going, and people are very emotional, and some people are even taking their lives. So it's upon us to make sure that we all arrive together and pay attention to your loved ones and your neighbors, because there may be signs of crying out for help that we may be missing. I've got calls on the entryway to McKay Park. This has been down for some time. We are still waiting diligently to fix the beautification of the entryway. Yesterday and today, a young man that's involved with the program, with the POP program, David Holliday, they created a safe place for students to get haircuts, T-shirts, and backpacks. This is something that they've created in a way to give back. And kudos for those people that think it's important enough to look after our young people. When I came up, it was a saying, it takes a village to raise people. And it was also another saying of each one teach one. And if in fact we do not show our future, we may be doomed as a future. So as you sit here and you see people and you ride by, and even the homeless, see what we can do to help, because we can't get through this thing together. We have a beautiful city here. We have many opportunities if we come together as a unity to improve our situation, because everyone here has important input, and I, for one, would like to hear from you. So hopefully everybody had a great summer, and look forward to fall. And thank you, Council President, for what you do.
Thank you, Councilman Wilson. I would just like to thank everybody who came out tonight. And even though as frustrated as everybody was or is, they conducted themselves in a respectful manner. They listened to, you know, the information that was given out. But we got an assignment when we leave here. We got to help these folks out. So we got to be intentional about this flooding thing. We just have to be. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And as I said, and I stand on it, whatever these guys need to do, you need to identify it, and we need to support it, and we need to get done and get to working on it right away. Because I think it's important, and I believe that we're going to have some more flooding soon. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works with climate change, right? So I think that's important. I want to commend Lamar Thomas for every year making sure that kids are greeted going into school to start their school year off. Sends the right message, and it's folks from around the community participating in the kids. They had a lot of kids there today, and so the kids feel good, you know. And he used to do it at the middle school, so now he's doing it at the Greco school. So those kids, you know, they're looking up at you, starry-eyed. But we wish those kids, we wish the district success this year. We want to make sure that all the kids have a great educational experience, and it's my hope that all the kids graduate or get promoted, and none of them are left behind. So we need to make sure that that's the message out there, because they are truly the future. So that's what's important to us, and also to honor the late Bill Pasquarello. You know, anybody who came in contact with this gentleman knew what he was about. He was a powerful individual. He knew the levers of government, and he knew how to use them, and he advocated for people. It's a big loss, you know, but he served us, and he served us well. So, and hopefully we learned something from Bill, and my condolences go out to him, his family. He will be missed. Today is the second anniversary of Bernard Placide, and his mother grieves. This is something that we have a hole in Englewood, and we got to fix that hole. And we got to look at the policies that we have. We have to make change. Listen, change is a good thing, because change is with growth. With change comes growth. You know, but we have a responsibility to make sure that everybody is safe. And if you are having a crisis, we need to get the right resources to you. That's very important. That's why I said this homelessness. We want to make sure that we get the right resources for these homeless people so that we can get them to the right places and get the services that they need. So that's very important. When you see people like that, it's very troubling in a country that's the richest country in the world, and we have people out here on the street. Nobody should be starving, and nobody should be homeless. You know, so I think it's important that we do that. But again, I just want to go back to this flooding thing. This is traumatic. This is frustrating for people. And we can't move forward as a city until we fix this problem. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but we know we got work to do. So let's just do the best we can do at it. We don't need to give those folks no excuses. We got to give them facts and be very transparent at what we're doing. And I think if we're sharing the information with them, they will process it and they'll receive it differently. It's when we don't do that is when we get in trouble. So I think it's important, Mr. Volsi and Mr. Hoffman, that, you know, there was a lot of takeaways tonight, but we can get the small things done, and we can list all those small things. And I think what they were asking for the small things, very reasonable in my estimation. You know, so I think that those are some of the things we just need to follow up on. So I'm going to say we're going to start the fall the right way. So let's get to work. And thank you for your service and your hard work. But let's continue. The work continues. Mr. Hoffman.
Actually, if you don't mind, just before Mr. Hoffman continues, I have two vacancies, one on the Board of Adjustment, where I would make a nomination to the governing body, and then for the Environmental Commission. I received the resignation from Michael Passeo, and an impending one by the end of the year for the Board of Adjustment. I don't want to make it public yet. So if there's anybody that's interested in serving, please send a resume to City Hall to my attention, mayorwilds@cityofenglewood.org, and I will pass it along. And again, please, all ages, all backgrounds, if you're interested. Environmental Commission is dynamic, and we have deep shoes to fill. Thank you.
Can I vote no on everything if I get elected?
Mr. Hoffman.
Thank you, Council President. In the interest of time, no report.
Thank you. Now I'm going to open up the floor for public session. 3 minutes, name, address.
Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey. I feel bad Diane got in front of you, but I didn't bring my medication with me. I got to get home and take it. You know, I'm getting old. So, you know what? We had a good event today, even though it was a somber event with Bernard. And, you know, Englewood, we need to do better. We see so many things that are wrong in Englewood, and these things can be fixed, but nothing happens. All over the world, we see injustices happening, and people talk about peace, but they don't practice peace. You can't talk about peace if you value the ways of war. If you want peace, you understand that you don't take somebody's property and not expect a reaction, because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right now, all over the world, we see where our government is funding an active genocide. Yesterday, I was in New York. The numbers that the media tells us is not 40,000, it's more closer to 200,000. Women, mainly children, and this country should be ashamed of themselves as to what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Khan Yunis, what's going on in Ramallah, what's going on in Haifa, what's going on all over the territory. But thank God we got some good people that are in Tel Aviv right now that are standing up to this tyrant, okay, that claims that he loves his people, but don't love his people enough to broker a deal that would bring hostages home and would give the Palestinians self-determination and a place that they could call home when they welcome people from Eastern Europe that didn't have a home. Imagine the irony. Today I was doing some research because I love to read. You know why Ethiopia was never colonized? They were never colonized because they fought the Italians. So the only answer to colonialism is war. Because people do not want to be colonized. Right now, Africa is still colonized, and there's countries that were in the Berlin Conference that still get the wealth of Africa. So when Mr. Cobb talks about this is the richest country in the world, that's a lie. The richest place in the world is in Africa. And all the riches were stolen to sustain France, Germany, America, and all these other colonial powers where these Neanderthals have nothing at all but the walls to look at. So we need to stop lying. And we need to understand that sometimes the truth is offensive, but it's not a sin. It's not a sin to speak truth to power. We see it all the time, especially on the front line, as far as demonstrating and talking about our constitutional right to express ourselves against people that are trying to silence us. But we will not be silent. But to those that want to silence the voices of people that have valid concerns about their rights, know that you're ensuring that there's going to be a confrontation. And that time is almost at hand, where those that seek to silence the voices of people that say this is wrong, it is not right, versus those that believe that they have the right to kill and do whatever they feel they have to do, they will be held accountable.
Thank you, thank you. Next, Ms. Manat.
Yes. My topic here is
Speak into the
about
mic a little bit.
children on Palisade Avenue.
Okay.
The young people. And they just graduate lately to out of school. I saw them walking because sometimes I don't drive. Sometimes I don't drive. I like to walk. When I walk, I meditate through my mind because things are my mind. And I saw kids walking with bag across them, and when I look, it's drugs they're selling. I saw it for myself, nobody tell me. And I saw them, and you know, the Holy Ghost sent me to speak to them, and I speak to them and rebuke them. And you know what? I saw a boy was going Sunday, I was taking back some lobster to ShopRite because they didn't cook properly and full of pepper and salt, and I bring them back and take back my money. And guess what? I saw a kid. I don't know him from Adam, but the Holy Ghost sent me to him. And I lay my hands on the young kid. I don't know if he's from Englewood or where. And I start to pray for this kid on the road, right on William Street there, going towards Palisade Avenue. And you know what happened? The kid started to cry after I prayed for him. And he said, "Lady, who are you? Where are you coming from?" I said, "The Holy Ghost sent me to lay on you and pray for you." And you know what happened? The guy, I thought he was going to Dwight Murray School. I thought he was living around here. He's from Florida. And he said, "I have 2 more days to go home." I said, "Really?" I said, "You know what? I'm praying for you because God is sending me to do this. And you know what? You are going right back to college in Florida, and you are going to pass all your classes." And I pray for him and leave him and say the 23rd Psalms. And I saw 2 more another day on Palisade Avenue with the bag walking, going up. And I was talking to them. And you know what? The slim one, I know the tall one. And the slim one said to me, "No, there is no God. I don't believe in no God." I said, "You're crazy. Something wrong with you. In the name of Jesus, the blood of Jesus against you." And I start to pray for them. And I said, oh my God, look what's going on, God. The young people, they need us. They need us. And I said, oh my God, every time I look at Liberty School there, I said, either they make a elderly place for old people to live, or they build a school where the kids can learn trade. Instead of having them on the road, drugs. Instead of having them on the road, orange uniform to Bergen County Jail. Get some factory, get some place to help them and put them in. They don't want to be out there like that. You know what's happening? They are so frustrated. Their mind is so mixed up because they don't have no help. They don't have nowhere else to run to or what to do. They take drugs for it. And I said, oh my God, that's why I pray for these kids and the parents to need help. If I tell you a situation with a lady, take time tonight. And then I'm saying this, let us remember these kids, please. And it's a Liberty School, why it's there, nothing doing. Why they won't make something for the kids to go in 9 o'clock, come out 5 o'clock and learn a trade? Why the land in Englewood, all these big trees, cut them down, make places for the kids to learn something? Young adults, they are getting in trouble every day. We parents, whether my child, grandchildren, we need to do something. We need to take action and stop doing nonsense.
Thank you, Ms. Minot. We almost at the 11 o'clock
The
hour.
police department, they stopped me at the monument. One morning I was going to food pantry. I go to food pantry because the money I get cannot help me. I do everything. And guess what? I stop at the stop sign. I obey the law. And by I reach over where Liberty School is, going to the pantry, the police drive me and stop me. I said, what you stop me for? Good morning, officer. How are you today? I was so nice to him. And he said, you know why I stop you? Because you go over the stop sign. I said, really? I said, in the name of Jesus, I never go over there. I said, first thing, there's a crossing guard lady right here every morning. When I pass here Monday morning, I always say hello to her. But this Monday, no, don't cut me off. This
Okay,
Monday,
I'm gonna cut you off, Ms. Minot.
So you weren't out there. I come in.
Oh,
You weren't
okay,
there.
let's come.
But guess what? I stop at the stop sign. I look down Palisade. I look that way. Where the gas station is, there was a school bus stop right there, and I'm watching. A white van come down by Bennett Road. And the police tell me that. I said, you are wrong. I said, you don't know me? He said, no, I don't know you. I said, guess what? I know you. From you just going to police force in Englewood till you get hold of gray bear down.
Okay.
I said, guess what? No, you're wrong. And you know what? The day. Listen, yes, I'm telling you.
We gotta go. I got you. Call me and talk to me.
And you know what he said? Oh, Mrs. Minot, we are so sorry. We apologize. We read the tape and it show you were wrong.
Okay.
Right. And I said, thank you, Jesus, because my pastor told us must obey the law of the United States.
Thank you, Ms. Minot. Thank you.
Please take care of the young people.
We will.
Mr. Mayor, please do something to get them off of the street of McDonald's.
Yep.
Here, and help them, please.
You sit down and we'll get them off the street.
Yes, please. Don't send them to Bergen County Jail. Please.
No, we don't want to do
Take
that.
care with a trade or something. Put things in action.
Thank you.
Please, you have grandkids gonna come. You have children on the street. Grandparents, please remember our kids. They are for me and they are for you. Even though I don't birth them, they are my kids when I see them on the street.
Thank you.
The record should also,
Thank you.
the record should also reflect that I return every single phone call from this young lady. Every single phone call. The record should reflect that she has been given and has always been given a good hearing and has a good heart.
Thank you, Diane Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. Thank you, Mrs. Minot. And I'd like to say, in talking about taking care of all our children, going back to Bernard Placide, who was 22 when he was fatally shot in his room, the door, in my recollection, but I'd have to view the video again, was barricaded, and now we have new laws against that, breaking in when someone is in a mental health crisis into a barricaded room. I'm bringing up Bernard's name also because every time I read the paper, there's so many people of color, especially in mental health crisis, who have been killed by police recently in New Jersey, and Bernard's name is not mentioned. And it hurts my heart when I see that. And I wonder, why is that not done? The police officer was not vindicated. There was a no bill, which they felt, the grand jury felt there was not enough evidence. So I think we need to remember that, and we need to put Bernard's name in those names that we see in the paper. That's number one. Number two, with respect to the flooding, I do want to thank the city manager, Robert Hoffman, as well as city engineer, Franz Valsi, for the planning that they're doing to move us forward. But as we know, with the plans, we have to take immediate action for the urgent, emergent matters. So in doing both, I think we're going forward somewhat, and I'm happy about that. I'm also happy that, and I do want to say I'd be remiss if I didn't say, in Janet Sharma's absence, I was the one who facilitated the Englewood storm meeting, but really the credit, all the credit goes to the nonprofits who work together with the city. And I do want to give a special shout out to Bergen Family Center, as well as Alexis Cooperman, who was helping the city and hand out 400 free first aid kits. So thank you.
And I just want to add that thanks to Joe Sorbonelli with that. He's the one who got the kits for us.
Oh, yes, thank you to Joe
Right.
Sorbonelli. I'm sorry,
Captain
I didn't
Sorbonelli.
mention that part.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Martha Morales, 93 Honick Street. Mayor Wilds, happy anniversary. Marriage, faith and values, one of the strongest foundations of our societies. I want to comment on the parking of commercial vehicles. The ordinance says that it's 48 hours, but in reality, it is at times 96 hours or indefinite. Because what happens is you cannot call the city of Englewood until you see that a car is parked there for 48 hours. After that, they come, they mark the car, and then you have to wait another 40 hours for them to come and to see if the vehicle is still there. Then at that point, they remove it. If that vehicle moves a foot or more, that 48 hours starts all over again. If it rains and the mark that the policeman mark is vanished, then there is nothing to it. You have to start all over. So I think that needs to be revisited. I have gone through a few towns around Englewood, Englewood Cliff, Leonia, and I have seen a couple of signs that the city has for parking signs. Some of them says residential parking only. Other one says Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, excluding holidays, 2-hour limit. Other ones in Fort Lee says residential parking only, and others from certain time to certain time. My point is this. I live in a very commercial area, and it's only two houses in my house, on my block. I have a mechanic in the corner that he rents vehicles. Then I have cars out of nowhere parking in front of my house. okay, waiting to be rented out. So what happens? People come in, inspect the vehicles, they're not even the owners. As we speak right now, my daughter called me. There was a car, while I'm in the meeting here, there was a car in front of my house. Then he stayed there, turned off the car, the driver was inside. I mean, if I had residents or other houses in my area, then I would not be so worried. But if I only have 2 houses and everything else is commercial, wouldn't you be on the lookout to see what is this car doing in front of your steps in your house? So I'm always on the lookout. So I think the ordinance for, not only for commercial parkings, but for anyone parking in the city of New York, of Englewood, needs to be revisited. That 48-hour parking is not working, is outdated, and then we need to take care of the residents of Englewood. And I understand that everybody else matter, but we pay taxes. So put us first, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Pete?
Good evening. Pete Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. I will not take 3 minutes, so we're almost done. I believe we have an opportunity here with, I'm going back to the weather and the rain again. When you look at the rain data in our area, the only weather stations that we have are in Lodi, Alpine, and Teterboro Airport. There's nothing really close to like the Englewood, Tenafly, Englewood Cliffs, Teaneck, any of that area. So what I would think we can do is we can apply for and maybe get a grant to actually have a weather station in Englewood, so we can have a better grasp on what's happening in our town. And this is a good idea because it's going to help all the surrounding towns to know better what's going on. When we see these storms being really localized, like I was saying before, that September 6th storm or the August 6th storm came just through the southern part of Englewood. And you look at the rain reports for Alpine, and they got hardly anything. So it would behoove us to at least try to find out and see if we can get a weather station. And I think if you look, I was reading about Ida, and the highlight for New Jersey in this particular report I was reading was that Newark had 420 people displaced from their homes. And I just did Englewood, we had over 500. And if you just do a percent of population for the city, Englewood is way over the impact that was at Newark. So I think if we can get, we have an opportunity here to get some grant money, get a weather station, and get better information about the rain that we're seeing in our town. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
Pete.
good night.
It's very late.
Yeah.
I'm Gen Z, and I'm normally up, but it's very late. Shaki, 85 DeBois Court. Oh my God, she caps again. I just want to talk about our homeless crisis. I've lived in this city my entire life. I've lived in the city of Newark, and you would expect homeless crisis to happen in the city of Newark. It's a huge metropolitan area, but when you come to the city of Englewood, where you have homeless folk literally, and not to be disparaging, but a lot of these homeless folks are Caucasian. In fact, living in the Starbucks or right outside the Starbucks. Or I was walking home one day from Sophia's, and this man had set up sort of a cot in the middle of the store entranceway. And I was like, oh, this is what we're doing now. And secondarily, our city is facing a crisis of folks drinking in public, particularly on the avenue. There's a lot of Latin Americans who frequent 2 locations in the avenue and then behind the ShopRite, one being at that church, I guess that's abandoned, that used to be operational, and secondarily being by the monument, where there's large cans of particularly beer and other types of alcohol. I know as a Black American, I can't drink in public. It's against the law, I think, for most Americans to drink in public, and it seems to be like the police doesn't enforce that, particularly at night, where they're not doing anything about that. And sometimes I walk my dog at night, and these folks are literally passed out on the steps of that church or near the monument, and it just has to be corrected.
Thank you. I'm going to close this portion of the public meeting. Mr. Bailey, you got to take us in the closed session so we can get in and get out.
Yes, sir. Be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Englewood that it meet in closed session pursuant to subsection 7 of the Open Public Meetings Act to discuss contract negotiations, personnel matters, litigation matters, and matters within the attorney-client privilege, and be it further resolved that the discussion conducted can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided it does not constitute an undue invasion of privacy or violate the attorney-client privilege, and be it further resolved that the council will return to open session after the closed session meeting.
We are now in closed session.
We need a-
No, second. We need a motion and a second to go into close.
I make a motion.
Second. Aye.
Aye. Take care, good seeing you.
We're in close? Okay, let's go get this done.